Do, 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 do. Those witches were Feng Shui buying. I'm just trying to rhyme. I'm very nervous for today's hangout. Let me make sure I'm broadcasting. Okay. For the record, a lot of times when people get into Feng Shui, they start buying all these Feng Shui cures. So I think my rhyme makes sense. I'm very nervous because I can't figure out how to use the chat section. And someone recommended to me, Danny Robinson, an awesome someone recommended to me to open a second window and look at the video, how you all are looking at the video. So I don't know if that's gonna, sometimes I have issues with it like cutting out and freezing. So I don't know. I have a Safari window open for that and I will try it. You can try to chat with me right now. I can see the chat section, but what happens, what has happened the last few times I've done this is I can see the chat section, but I can't see you chatting until I end the event. And then I can see it until I close that window and then it's gone forever. So today we're going to talk about how to use the Bagua map in Black Hat Feng Shui. This is a really fun topic. It makes me a little bit nervous too because it's a big topic and it's probably good that I can't see your comments right now because I can't. I need to focus and then I'll go over to Safari and see if I can see your comments there. If you want to ask me any questions, maybe we can get this rolling thanks to Danny. We will see. Here, I also have, let me pull this up, some notes so I wouldn't get distracted. I have a couple bullet points here to keep me on task. So let's just start with, well, let me even backtrack. Before I mention working with a Bagua map in your, if you want to do Feng Shui on your house, something that I recently did that I think is amazing, I mentioned it on my last two podcasts. The one before last, I explained how to do this exercise, and then I mentioned it again in this Tuesdays. I think doing this recipe, I told you I was nervous. I am. I have a lot of nervous energy because I went in circles. I got really frustrated and I was about to give up. And then Danny's comment came in at the end. So I don't know. I just have a lot of nervous energy from trying to figure this out. And I guess it's frustration energy, but it feels like nervous energy to me. So I recommend before you get all into what a Bagua map is and how to lay it over your house, that you do this exercise that I learned from Dana Claudette of the Tao of Dana. I'm doing her Catalyst Camp. I say it like that because I keep mentioning it. And for those of you who hear me keep mentioning it, you're like, yeah, we know. I know you know, but some people might not know. So I hear a little echo back at myself too, so I hope you all aren't hearing that. So the exercise goes like this. Let me tell it to you in a nutshell, and then if you want to go back and listen to those podcasts, if you haven't, you can hear it in more detail. But you go through your house. Here's my notebook. You go through your house with a notebook. I have a designated notebook for my Feng Shui adventures. Home, soul, home. Because I believe our home is a reflection of our soul and a representative of our soul, and that we can talk to our homes and our homes can talk to us, and we can get a relationship going with them in an interactive way that can help us learn a lot about what's going on in our psyches and down in our deep in our souls. The stuff that we can't reach, I feel like talking to your home and letting your home talk to you is a way to access those layers of your psyche. So let me look. I am going to sneak a peek over at Safari because I think I hear myself. It might be bouncing off the middle of this lamp right here, so I'm not sure. But if I can see you all, then I can ask you what's going on. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I don't see me in my phone feed. I went over to another YouTube account. This isn't even my feed. Can I see me here? I can. Okay, there I am. All right, hold on. Okay, I'm muting myself. Hey, Joe, Cora Moonlight, Nikki Yana. Hi, Joanna. Hi, you guys. You can see me. That is so exciting and cool, although it's disturbing to see myself and I look really blurry. Is there a funny noise bouncing back or an echo that you hear, or should I leave this window open? Could you tell me that if you're watching right now? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Okay, well, carrying on. I feel like you can talk to your house and have your house talk to you as a way of getting into those deeper layers of psyche, much like dream work can do. I think the psyche is so unknowable. I was saying in the last podcast that the psyche is not unconscious. You are. You are. The psyche is fully present. Your soul is fully here now. It's you, it's me, it's us. We are unconscious. So we have to use all these witchy tricks to access the contents of the psyche if we want to. I want to. I like to move things around in there. I like to understand why certain patterns keep playing themselves out in my life, or what needs to change within to create a change without. And I think that working with your home can be amazing this way. So what you do is you get your trusty notebook. This is just one of those composition books. I like it because it's pretty. And you go through your house room by room. And I recommend you do this through the eyes of a stranger. So pretend that you're a stranger. Make sure you have a lot of time to do this as well. This exercise took me hours to do. Pretend that you're a stranger and go through each room of your house and ask the room, or just ask the space, like, what is this space telling me? And then how does it make me feel? The reason I recommend doing that as a stranger is because you want to try as best as you can to shed any preconceived ideas you have, any beliefs you have, any old patterning, thought patterns, what things mean to you. When you go in and you look at it with the eyes of a stranger, you might notice when you have company that's coming to your house, all of a sudden you see things that you normally are blind to, like, oh my God, it's hideous, you know. You see the messes that you've made that you normally just walk by without even recognizing, or all of a sudden that painting on the wall is just not doing it for you because new people are coming over and there's something about it that, I don't know, embarrasses you, or it feels like, you know, a relic from your past. It doesn't represent you anymore, or it represents your mom's taste and not yours. So going through your house with that mentality, the guests are coming, or I'm a stranger, even better, you're a brand new stranger to your house, can really give you a good feed on that. And then when you have each room done, you'll probably see certain themes emerging. I certainly did. What was interesting for me, and this made me cry, there were a lot of moments that made me cry, was I noticed that the way I keep myself safe and comfortable, because I have a lot of fear, residual fears, even from like back in the day when I had agoraphobia, I keep a lot of junk around me. It's like a cushion of junk. And when I went into my son's room, I noticed he does this too. And it's interesting how we can have more empathy and more compassion for another person who is experiencing the exact same thing we are than we can for ourselves. And that was an eye-opening moment for me when I was doing this. The reason I recommend doing this exercise before you start fiddling around with the Bagua, or even if you ever have in the past fiddled around with the Bagua, to take it in this order anyway right now, is because then you have like the story of your house, and you have this new perspective on what all of your junk is, what it means. And then when you lay the Bagua map over it, then things start to really get interesting. Okay, let me pause there and look and see. It sounds fine to me. It's good. That happens to me. Yay, I'm so glad I can see you guys. It's unfortunate that I can see myself talking, but I'm on mute, so at least I can't hear myself. Cool. So maybe I can say everything I want to say, and then I can swing back around to see if you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that. Okay. I'm going to get good at this, I'm telling you. Okay, so a Bagua. Let me show you pictures of a Bagua first, because that's a weird word, right? Here is a Bagua. Hold on, let me put that down so I can see what I'm doing. Here is a Bagua map. That's what it looks like. I might need that for reference. And here is a Bagua map. They're the same, but every teacher and every book does it a little bit differently in terms of what each space represents. Mine, here, let me bust out mine because these books don't want to stay open. Mine looks like this. Okay, this is all backward. I think you guys are seeing this backward, so that's going to matter. So if you're seeing this backward, which I think you are because I am right now, make sure that you keep in mind every single thing I say is going to be flipped around. It's going to be the reverse, and that's important when you're learning a Bagua map. And I'm not even saying that a Bagua map is important. It's important if you want to learn how to use a Bagua map. Let me put it that way. Okay, so the kind of Feng Shui that I resonate with, you might say because I'm a lazy Westerner, but I don't like to think of it that way, is not a classic or a traditional. It's not based on a classic or traditional system. There are many classic and traditional systems, and they're all a little bit different, but they're also very, very complex. And they work with a compass direction. I have done this myself. I have props for you today. Look, oops, I'm showing you. Well, I'm showing you my notes is what I'm really showing you. Look at my awesome compass. Isn't it cool? So flying star Feng Shui is extraordinarily complex. It's a little bit, one way to think about it, the way I like to think about it is it's like astrology and Feng Shui together. And this is a popular classic form of Feng Shui that involves taking measurements and doing math. Two of my least favorite things. But basically, you would take the compass direction out your front door, like facing out from your house, and then you like check it at different points because I guess there can be like electromagnetic interference. So to get an accurate reading, you test it all over your house, and then you like split the difference and get the average number between the different readings. Rodika Chi, I love her. She's very sweet and soft-spoken. I really enjoy, she's great. She's got a couple of different websites that she contributes content to, and it's all very beautiful. And she makes videos, and she has a video on how to do this. And it's so complicated. It involves like a protractor and like, it's very complex so that is kind of the basis for Flying Star, working with a Flying Star themed Feng Shui or Bagua. It's called Flying Star, I think, because it changes hour by hour, day by day. You can constantly do this because the stars up in the heaven, they're flying around and it's affecting the energy of your home. So I think Feng Shui in general is an ongoing practice, but classic Feng Shui is, to me, it's overwhelming. Maybe at some point I'll get to the point where I'm interested in doing that. It has a key, your key, Flying Star key Feng Shui. You find out what key you are, and that's a little bit like knowing like your astrological, like your natal chart, and then how that lays over your home, and then how it changes like every hour. It's so complex. Black Hat Feng Shui or BTB Feng Shui. Black Hat Feng Shui is the Western way, even though it originated in Tibet, I believe, and it is much less complicated. And all you have to know to place the Bagua over your home, and then what all the different directions mean, is you just have to know, like, where's my front door? And you face your front door like you're a visitor from the outside looking in, and then that determines how this map is laid out based on where your front door of your house is. So we're going to talk about black hat Feng Shui, the Western version of Feng Shui, which I love because I'm witchy. I just love the idea that it's called black hat Feng Shui. There were different sects and they had different hats that they wore, but the black hat Feng Shui is the one that made its way to the West, to Europe and to America. And it's the one you'll typically come across, I think, when you pick up a book on Feng Shui. The two books that I showed you, this is the Western Guide to Feng Shui, room by room. I meant to buy the Western Guide to Feng Shui, but I got the room by room one. And this is Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui. And then I have several on Kindle, and they all use this Western version of the Bagua map. So let me make sure everything's, I love that I can see your comments. It's so cool. No, we see it not backwards. Oh my gosh. Well, what do you know? That's awesome. Good to know. Thank you. Okay. So, Bagua, that's a weird word, right? It just means 8 sections or 8 areas. Ba means 8. Gua means section. And, but what's interesting is there are really 9. So when you look at a classic Bagua map, you're looking at, kind of picture the wheel of the year, if you're witchy, which is broken into 8 different sections, right? You're looking at like an octagon version of that. So it's like, it's like this, right? And you have these 8 sections on the outer circle of the wheel. And then in the center, you have, often there will be like a yin-yang symbol in the middle. That is counted as a space. So there's really 9. The way Western Feng Shui works is we take that octagon and we just make it a square or a rectangle, depending on the shape of your home. And I'll talk a little bit about that too, because that really throws people. It's like, my house is not a rectangle. My house is not a square. Well, your Bagua map is going to be. So I guess I should just address that right now. See, it starts to get complicated even when you do the Western version, because, you know, Western homes aren't typically squares. They're not typically rectangles. What I love about Feng Shui is that it's a nature art. It's about working with the energies of nature and the elements of nature. So it goes very well with being a witchy person or a pagan, if that's what you are. Although a lot of just straight up new agey people are into it too, but it's really about working with the elements. And the reason, I think the reason Feng Shui started, in my opinion, based on the research I've done, is it was really about the placement of building your home. Whereas in Western Feng Shui, we're usually just dealing with what we've got. The home has already been there for a long time, you know, we've already moved in. But if you are looking at building a home, it might be really interesting to go look at the more classic versions that take into effect like the compass. Do you know what I mean? So you're getting certain light depending on what way your house is facing. My house happens to be amazingly laid out, which I love, in terms of like the way that the light comes and goes and the air. There's a lot of airflow in this house when you get the windows open. So I think it was originally intended to be that, like, where should we set up our home and where should it be facing? Western is about just dealing with the wonky, weird floor plan that you already have in general. So if you have, here's how it works. People say 30% or 50%. I'm going to say 50% today for argument's sake, just because it's easier. So let's say this is a line in your house. This is like a wall that runs along your house, right? If you have a piece that's sticking out like that, if the piece is less than 50% of that wall, it's called an extension. And okay. If the piece is more than 50%, right? So if it's like that big, you have what's called a missing area. So when you have a missing area, you just extend the map to include that. When you have an extension, it just becomes a little like bonus jolt to whatever part of the Bagua map it's in. And each of these 9 sections represents a different part of your house. So there's a love section, there's a money section, there's a knowledge section, and that center section I was talking about is like where it all comes together. It's your stability, it's your balance, it's your health. So does that make sense to you guys before I move on? I love that I can talk to you. Oh my God, thank you, Danny. That is so cool. Let's see. Merry meet, Melanie. Okay, yeah, I don't know. No one has any questions, or I have a delay on this thing, so I'm just gonna carry on. What was I gonna say next? See, it's good to have bullet points, Joanna. I need to have bullet points more often. Okay, we talked about, okay, let's just talk about the different guas, or the different sections of the map. I like mine the best because it's very inclusive of all the different maps that I have taken information from. So some, it was a bigger, broader picture. So instead of just having helpful people corner, you have blessings, clients, helpful people, and travel. So I wanted something that was more modern and that suited my lifestyle better. So I'm going to share what each of these things mean to you. Also, if your home is a rectangle, you just stretch it out and have you make equal rectangles for each section. So it's really about equal size boxes, right? So they're either going to be squares or they're going to be rectangles. My house fits pretty closely in a square. So let's just start at the beginning. This is your front door. We're right here, or maybe it's not. Your front door could be here, here, or here, facing your house that way, right? So mine is right here. So I'm going to start right here. But your house could be in the knowledge, wisdom section, the life path section, or the helpful people and travel section, depending on your situation. I hope I have this right. If I don't, I've been doing Feng Shui the wrong way for a very, very long time. When I first got into Feng Shui, I was very, very young, and I've had many flirtations with it. It's this year that what I understand of it really like came to life for me in a way where I was like, I must talk about this with you all. So right here, front door facing in, right? Why do I feel the need to obsessively check this? Like, do I have this wrong? I know I don't, because I've already fussed over it, but you have to forgive me. Something in me wants to make sure I'm right. Yes, I'm right. Okay. I saw someone do this backward once on Facebook Live, and I was like, you're doing it wrong. I don't want you guys to do that to me. Okay, so here's your square. Right here is your front door. This middle section, and keep in mind, your front door could be at any of these sections. It doesn't change the shape of your Bagua. If you walk in that way, this section is still the wisdom section. If you walk in this way, this one is still the wisdom section. If you walk in this way, this one is still the blessing section. If you walk in this way, you get life path, self, your sense of self, I think, your career, your mission, and your purpose. So this section is very important. Where your front door is very, very important in Feng Shui, not just because it determines the whole map of the rest of your house, but also because you want really good Feng Shui with your front door. You don't want it to be obstructed with anything. You want guests to feel very welcome, and you are welcoming in opportunity. A lot of people paint their front doors red for this reason. I like the idea, and maybe not on my front door, but on the back door and maybe different doors in the house, of hanging bells, which is supposed to be good energy. But I think also it's just like a safety thing, like, ooh, someone's coming into my house, and you can hear them, and it's an awareness thing. But like beautiful flowers, very clean. You want to keep your front door very clean and open and not blocked by anything. So that's important to know, a feng shui thing, right? Okay, so let's just go through the rest of the house. We have over here in the southeast corner, we have blessings, clients, helpful people, and travel. I'm not really sure why helpful people and travel go together, but it does make sense in terms of, well, I guess it makes sense when I think about you need helpful people when you're traveling. But I think being able to travel is also a huge blessing. So there you have that section. Right across from that, you have knowledge, self-cultivation, and wisdom, which is one of my favorite things. Going up from there on the west wall, or in the west section here, legacy, family. I have health in parentheses because it moves. Some people say it's over here. Some people say it's over here. And creative products, the products of your creativity, your legacy, and your family. If you're a mom, products of your creativity and your legacy, and or a dad, if you're a parent, make a lot of sense, right? Those things go together. Coming into the center where it all comes together is health, stability, feeling centered, feeling grounded, and wellness. Going across from there, you have creativity, children, joy, sex, and the future. Yeah, children, creativity, joy, sex, and the future. I got a little ahead of myself, something I wanted to say, but I'll save it till I make it through this. Relationships, love, and marriage are up in this top corner here. People like to focus on that area a lot. This corner here is accomplishments, fame, reputation, and ambition. And then finally, you got the prosperity corner, another one. I think these two people like to focus on the most, the love and the prosperity. Self-esteem, wealth, prosperity, and self-empowerment, the things that empower you. And something that I love that I learned from Dana, I keep talking about Dana because the reason I took her course, Catalyst Camp, is because she had some new ideas, some fresh ideas that I hadn't heard before. And the one that really lit me up and got me excited was the way she worked with the Bagua map. It reminds me a lot of how we work in astrology, where like the opposite signs, they have a relationship, the signs that are opposite. Or in the Wheel of the Year, you know, like Beltane and Samhain, May Day and Halloween, they have a relationship, right? That's supposed to be when the veil is very, very thin. And it's like that. These work together too. They all work together holistically. And like I keep saying, the center really is, you need a healthy, good, strong, stable, grounded center, or else it'll affect everything that's going on around it. But what was fun for me is when she was talking about like your self-esteem, wealth, prosperity, and employment, directly across from that, you have blessings, clients, helpful people, and travel. And the relationship between those, this is funny, I'm saying it backwards. The relationship between those two corners. Relationship, love, and marriage is directly across from knowledge, self-cultivation, and wisdom. So the more self-knowledge you have, the more cultivation of self that you've done, a better love match you're going to make, right? Because like attracts like. You have these two across from each other, legacy, family, creative products, right across the way from creativity, children, joy, sex, the future. So you can really start to see the relationships here. And then you have fame, reputation, ambition directly across from your life path, your mission, your career. And your career fully can be a stay-at-home parent. I always like to mention that because that is a full-time job and parents deserve credit for that. Some people feel left out. You know, if you're a student right now, your career is, you're having your academic career currently. And you may have another, hopefully you'll have another career after that. So I hope this made sense. Let me show you it one more time. Yay. Okay, where am I? My little notes here. Oh, okay. So something fun you can do. I already talked about your front door, right? So I'm going to just share a few feng shui cures, because for every single space on the Bagua map, you want to create a space that is conducive to what you want, the life you want to manifest in that area. Something you might have heard before that's really common in the love area. A lot of times people focus on pairs. If you want to fortify and reinforce the love that you already have with your partner, or if you want to bring in like a soulmate connection, you're going to want to put something in that corner of that room, in that section of your house, in a pair together. You don't want a picture of an angry looking woman or a woman who looks really lost and alone. It's really fascinating when you go around and you look at the art in your home and then you consider, like, what message is this sending to both me and people who visit my home? And it's really made me rethink the art in my home that way. I'm not even done doing it. There's some pieces that I love, and I'm trying to decide how superstitious I am about this, because I think it's personal how far you want to go into it. It's very much like astrology for me. Like, I learned one way of doing astrology that makes sense. Then you have these other people going, no, you're doing it wrong. There's this other kind of astrology, and that natal map like changes what sign you are. It's like a whole mess. It's like, are you kidding me? Tarot is like that sometimes, like the different systems. Well, there's different systems in feng shui, and I think a lot of superstition comes into play, but a lot of things actually make a lot of sense as well. So like something very practical, if you're working in the love area of your home, I think having a pair of a couple of something, I don't know, statues or something, that's symbolic, right? But you also might want to get really practical with it. Like, are there 2 nightstands? Does each person have a light? Is there a safe, free passage to both sides of the bed? Is there comfortable pillows? And you can get very literal and practical with it like that. And then there's the whole spectrum, how superstitious you want to get. It's really based on your personal beliefs and how much you want to work with symbolism, how much you want to create your own system. If you just want to plug into someone else's system, knock yourself out. Let me see what you guys are saying right now. Okay, cool. Molly, hi. Catherine. I don't know who HLB0111 is, but hi. Six Sad World TV. That makes me sad and sick. Hi, you guys. Okay, so no questions. I'm happy. Let's go back to what I was saying. I'm going to get good at this, you guys, so thank you for bearing with me while I fumble around here. Let's talk cures. This is when I was joking at the beginning about feng shui buying. This is what I did when I was, I don't know, in my early 20s, early to mid 20s, and I first learned feng shui. You get really excited about the cures because there's different cures, and I bought like strange things that didn't make sense to me. It was just like what the book said to do, so I had like mirrors in really weird places and little these feng shui cures that are supposed to offset or balance like negative energy. So let's talk about ones that I think are practical, and I've listed a few. There's probably many, many more, but these are the ones that feel like, yes, that makes sense. Let me show you this too, because I busted this out and I haven't shown you yet. I did buy something. Here's the thing. If you don't have a green thumb, this is awesome. This is bamboo. Tanner keeps telling me that it looks like asparagus and that asparagus looks like bamboo, and it kind of does. But I have this on my toilet. But if you don't have a green thumb, this stuff is so easy to take care of. It's just in a little bit of water and it just grows and grows and grows. And this is an awesome prosperity cure. It brings a lot of good energy. Some people call it lucky bamboo, and I'm going to say it's lucky because I have a hard time keeping plants alive, and so far so good with this guy. I've had him a couple of months, and And so I did buy that, but it's very affordable. You can order them on eBay and they come to your house really fast, and it's super affordable. Okay, so one thing that you want to consider is when you're back at your front door, right, and you're looking into your house, sometimes, I don't know what the word is for this. I'm sure there's a term, because there's a term for everything in Feng Shui, but it's about like where your eye goes when you walk in the house. If there's like a door that's directly across from the front door, that's not great. But if there's a big window leading to a view, I think a lot of people choose homes because that's really beautiful and attractive. But what happens is the person's energy goes straight through. And that's not a good thing. It could be over energizing. It can be distracting. It can keep the person from like feeling safe or being present in their homes. So you want to create like a buffer, you know, like maybe a cool silk tree or a piece of art that takes your eye on a journey. So you stay in the home. So your energy just doesn't go like right out the back door or right out the back window. So that's one thing that I think like, okay, that makes sense to me, right? So you want, when your guests enter your home, you want them to be present with you there. You don't want them to be like, oh, making a beeline for, you know, the back window, and you're standing there with hors d'oeuvres and your cheesy smile. I'm like, welcome to my home. You want them to have a moment where you can be present with each other before that happens. So things that like distract the eye for a moment, a beautiful floral arrangement or something, and makes the energy flow. Like you're wanting energy to flow, right? So like a round table flows. A square table in the right or in the wrong space, I should say, could lead to like a lot of bumped shins and things like that. So there are those practical things you want to think about beyond subtle energies. Something that really, this is why I'm really into food. A lot of people in the witchy and new age communities, they get very excited about working with subtle energies, with like Reiki or flower essences, things like that, crystal energy. But then they don't address more, what is the opposite of subtle? More pronounced, more physical energies. And I feel like if your diet is crap and you never exercise and you're getting very little sleep, who cares if you're using a flower essence, you know, or somebody's doing Reiki on you? Like, you have to work on the foundation first, which is why I think starting with decluttering is so powerful when you're doing Feng Shui, right? You want to start with a healthy, clean, fresh slate. And then maybe you can start worrying about like, or entertaining yourself. Don't worry about it. Enjoying working on the more like subtle, energetic levels of your home and getting really into like what all the different meanings are for the different places in your home. So that's why I'm talking about these cures that I think are really practical. Something that is not great, and I don't know what the cure for this is other than moving your bed, is you don't want your bed to be under a big, heavy wooden beam. And this makes sense to me because psychologically, like, you know, that big, heavy beam is like over your head. In California, we don't hang heavy things over our bed, by the way. My dad, they had this huge, big, heavy piece of driftwood that was carved into, I think, a map. And they were going to hang it over their bed. And I was like, what are you doing? That's insane. Because, you know, in California, an earthquake could come along and then you're dead because you have a bookshelf over your head. So we don't do that here. But also, I think it's just like, you know, the lizard brain is aware of these things. And it's not very comfortable to be sleeping under like this big, huge beam that could, you know, psychologically, you're like, it could drop on me at any moment. And some people talk about it in terms of like cutting the energy, like cutting your energy in half when you're laying in bed. Another consideration for your bed is another safety thing. It's like you want your bed positioned in a way where you can see the door. And then also, you know, it's very uncomfortable when people coming down the hall or a different part of your house can see you laying in your bed, but you can't see them. So you want to arrange your bed that way to where you can see the door and you can see anybody that's coming toward you in the middle of the night to get you, the boogeyman. You want to see the boogeyman. Related to this is, this is usually presented in terms of your office or your workspace, but I think it applies to a lot of different things as well. And that is what is called the commanding position, your commanding seat. So you want, again, your desk to face the wall, because you don't want someone sneaking up on you, or the wall, not the wall, excuse me. You want your desk, your chair to face the door. If you have a desk pushed up against the wall, you can't see who's coming up behind you. So a feng shui cure for this would be, if you have to have your desk there because you're in a studio apartment or a dorm room, or it just makes the most sense in terms of like flow for the room, you would put a mirror there so you can see someone coming up behind you. The same is true of like your oven space. If your oven is up against your wall, like mine is, you might want to think about putting a little mirror somewhere so you can see when people come up behind you. And again, I think this is just my own narrative, but I think it has to do with feeling safe and comfortable and relaxed in your own home. So even if you're not consciously worried that a bad guy is going to sneak up behind you, there's a little lizard brain back there that is, and that knows, and that you can't fully, completely, entirely relax when your back is to the door, or your bed, you can't see who's coming in. So that makes sense to me. Does that make sense to you? Another thing is something called poison arrows. And this can get a little superstitious, but mostly it makes sense to me. And that is things that are like pointed at you in an upsetting way that feels kind of like violent to your psyche. So that could be if you live in a cul-de-sac and all the homes are like cars are driving to your home, that could be a poison arrow. Or it could be like a flagpole or a light post outside your home that creates like a shadow, and the shadow moves and it ends up like pointing at your house. So you would like put a lovely tree or a lovely bush or something to block that. The way that you deal with poison arrows is you can either, I wrote three things down: soften them, block them, or fight back. And the mirrors are about fighting back. You're like turning that energy back on itself, right? So maybe you would want to put something reflective at the front of your home. Maybe not a mirror, maybe one of those mirrored balls. That might be cool. Because it's circular and it gets the energy flowing, but it's also reflecting back the energy of these cars like that seem like they're driving straight to your house. In your home, poison arrows are like any sharp thing that's sticking out and pointing at you, because one, physically you could hurt yourself, right? And again, it's that psychological feeling of like, ooh, that feels aggressive to me. So you want to either reposition your furniture so you don't have that feeling anymore, or if you literally can't because it's like a corner of a wall poking at you, you want to soften it with like a plant or some fabric and something that softens that experience. Or maybe you block it like with a screen or something like that. This reminds me of when I was a kid. Nobody took me seriously when I complained about this. To this day, I don't know if anybody has ever been like, I feel you on this. So I'm going to share it with you. I hated when I was a kid walking down like grocery aisles or like drugstore aisles where they hang the makeup on those little hooks. So there's like all these little hooks that they hang the makeup on. If the aisle was scooched in enough, it would make me cross-eyed. It would hurt my eyeballs because I don't know, there's something, it felt like somebody trying to like poke my eyes. I don't know if I have a past life or I got my eyes poked out or what, but it like drove me insane and it made me feel very uncomfortable and nobody believed me. But when I learned about poison arrows and Feng Shui, I was like, aha, it's a thing. It's a thing. So that's why I wanted to mention poison arrows, to vindicate myself. I was not crazy. Other people feel these things. Beam over your bed, commanding position, front door, love corner. I think I mentioned all the things I wanted to mention here. Wow. Dude, that feels good. I'm going to go over and see if you guys have anything to say. if you adjusted and made your own map. Yes, I did, but it wasn't my idea. I like took from other people's idea just to flesh it out a little bit, because some people are like, this is the love corner and this is the money corner, the end. And I was like, that doesn't feel true, because usually the love corner in those situations, it's really focused on like partnership. But we live in an era now that's, you know, people are polyamorous, or they just want to be single forever, or, you know, they're swingers, or I don't know. So that doesn't necessarily like fit with everybody. And I also think like self-love is always kind of missing from the map. So where does that go? Yeah, so that's why I did that, just to flesh it out a little bit. Hi, Travis. No one wants to get squished. I know, and you don't want to get your eyes poked. I don't see any questions. I don't know if there's a delay, but I have said everything I have to say, like 100%. So if you all are talking to me and I can't see you, I apologize, but I think I'm gonna wrap this thing up now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Danny, for teaching me how to see the comments here. I'm really excited about that. And I have a lot more content. I'm doing 2 videos and 3 podcasts that I have not done yet for Patreon. So I will talk about this in more depth there. If you have something special, if you're a patron of mine on Patreon and you want to talk about something more specific or weird or personal, that's what I like Patreon for. So let me know. And I have a couple of podcasts still coming up just for the public, and 1 more video, maybe 2 more videos. It's a long month for me here in May. So let me know if you have something you want me to address. And this is kind of the Feng Shui video, because most of what I've been focused on is decluttering for the reasons that I mentioned, because I think like get that straight first, and then you can start thinking about all the fun witchy bells and whistles of this thing. No questions. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much. This is really fun. It's a different experience when I can see you all.